Today, we bring you a story that proves the unbreakable power of promises made in love, a journey that spans years and distances, yet never loses sight of a dream whispered in youth. Two souls whose overwhelming, intense love blossomed under the golden Australian sun. In the shadow of an old, abandoned house, they made sacred promises to each other. He would buy and restore their dream home, and she would plant a garden filled with her favorite flowers. But life, with its relentless unpredictability, pulled them apart, scattering their paths across vast distances for years. What happens when the scent of jasmine, drifting from a distant flower shop, reignites a promise that time could never erase? Can a love, once separated by ambition and circumstance, find its way back home and prove that true devotion always fulfills its vows? I invite you to settle in, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and please, share in the comments where you're listening from today. Vivienne and Elliot's inspiring journey is about to begin. The Australian sun, fierce and golden, painted the coastal town in hues of amber and ochre, a vibrant backdrop to the overwhelming, all-consuming love shared by Vivienne Ashford and Elliot Whitmore. They were both young, hearts brimming with the fearless intensity of youth, their souls intertwined in a way that felt both exhilarating and utterly inevitable. Their connection was immediate, a spark that ignited into an inferno the moment their eyes first met at a local summer festival. It was a love that defied logic, a gravitational pull that drew them together with an almost desperate urgency, a feeling so profound it consumed their very beings, a testament to a passion that felt both fragile and eternal. Vivienne, with her wild, sun-kissed hair and a spirit as untamed as the ocean waves, found in Elliot a kindred soul, a mirror to her own passionate heart. He was captivating, with a restless energy and a gaze that seemed to see right through her defenses, straight into the depths of her being. Their days were a whirlwind of shared adventures, long walks along rugged coastlines with the salty breeze tangling their hair, spontaneous road trips down dusty country roads with the windows down and music blaring, and stolen moments under the vast Australian sky that felt like entire lifetimes. Every touch, every lingering glance, every shared breath was charged with an unspoken electricity, a palpable tension that hummed between them, promising a depth of intimacy that was both thrilling and overwhelming. Elliot, in turn, was utterly captivated by Vivienne. Her laughter was a melody he carried in his heart, her fierce independence a challenge he found irresistible. He saw in her a wildness that matched his own, a spirit that refused to be tamed, a passion that burned as brightly as the Australian sun. Their love was a beautiful, chaotic dance, a symphony of intense emotions that often soared to dizzying heights. They were inseparable, their lives entwined in a way that felt both natural and utterly essential. The world outside their bubble seemed to fade, their universe shrinking to encompass only the two of them, their intense, uncontrollable passion burning brightly, a testament to a love that felt both fragile and eternal. One afternoon, as they wandered down a forgotten lane on the outskirts of their town, they stumbled upon a sight that would forever alter the course of their shared dreams. It was an old house, weathered and abandoned, its paint peeling, its garden overgrown with wild vegetation. Yet, beneath the layers of neglect, a certain charm lingered, a whisper of forgotten elegance. Vivienne's eyes lit up with an almost childlike wonder. She saw beyond the decay, envisioning the beauty that lay dormant beneath the surface. Elliot, watching her face transform with such vibrant hope, felt a surge of affection so powerful it took his breath away. The palpable tension that always existed between them intensified in that moment, a silent understanding passing between them, a shared dream taking root in the fertile ground of their youthful passion. They explored the property, their fingers intertwined, their imaginations soaring. Vivienne spoke of a garden, vibrant and lush, filled with her favorite flowers, the delicate scent of jasmine, the bold hues of bougainvillea. the cheerful faces of sunflowers. She spoke with such fervent passion, her eyes sparkling with unshed tears of joy, that Elliot felt his heart swell with a fierce protectiveness, a desire to give her the world, to make every dream she uttered a tangible reality. He envisioned the house restored to its former glory, its walls repainted, its floors gleaming, a haven for the life they would build together. The intense, uncontrollable passion that defined their existence now found a focus, a shared vision of a future filled with love, laughter, and the comforting beauty of a home they would create together. Standing in the overgrown garden, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun, they made promises to each other, vows whispered with the earnest intensity of youth. Elliot, his voice thick with emotion, promised Vivienne that he would buy that house. He would work tirelessly, save every penny, and one day he would hand her the keys to their dream. He would restore it, brick by brick, board by board, transforming it into a sanctuary worthy of the love they shared. Vivienne, her eyes shining with unshed tears, promised that she would plant the garden. She would fill it with the flowers she loved, creating a haven of beauty and tranquility, a testament to the love that bloomed between them. These were not mere words spoken lightly. They were sacred vows, etched into the very fabric of their souls, promises that felt as eternal as the Australian landscape itself. Their love, fueled by shared dreams and passionate promises, continued to flourish. They spent countless hours at the old house, picnicking in the overgrown garden, imagining the life they would build there. The palpable tension between them, once simply a thrilling undercurrent, now vibrated with a deeper understanding, a shared purpose that bound them even more tightly. Every stolen kiss beneath the gnarled branches of an old tree, every lingering touch as they explored the dusty interior of the house, every shared glance that spoke volumes, reinforced their belief in the eternity of their love. They were young, fearless, and utterly convinced that nothing could ever tear them apart. Yet, life, with its relentless unpredictability, had other plans. An unexpected opportunity arose for Elliot, a chance to pursue his ambitions far from their coastal town, a path that promised success but demanded sacrifice. The decision was agonizing, a battle between the fierce pull of his love for Vivienne and the equally compelling desire to build a future worthy of her, to fulfill the promise he had made. They talked late into the night, their voices raw with emotion, their hearts heavy with the weight of an impossible choice. Vivienne, though her heart ached with the prospect of separation, encouraged him to go, her fierce love demanding that he chase his dreams, even if it meant leaving her behind. The intense, uncontrollable passion that had defined their existence now faced its first true test, a crucible that would determine the strength of their promises. They vowed, with tears streaming down their faces and hands clasped tightly, that their love would endure, that the promises made in the overgrown garden of the old house would remain sacred, a testament to a love that felt both fragile and eternal. They believed, with the unwavering faith of youth, that true love always finds a way, that time, no matter how relentless, could never break the promises etched upon their hearts. The departure of Elliot Whitmore from their coastal Australian town was a wound that cut deep into Vivienne Ashford's heart. The airport farewell, though filled with whispered promises and tear-stained embraces, felt like a finality she hadn't anticipated. The intense, uncontrollable passion that had defined their every waking moment now existed in the space between phone calls, in the carefully worded letters that crossed vast distances, in the aching silence of nights spent alone. The palpable tension that had always hummed between them, once a thrilling presence, now manifested as a profound longing, a physical ache for his touch, his gaze, his unwavering presence. Elliot, thrown into a new world of relentless ambition and demanding schedules, carried Vivienne with him in every thought, every decision. The city he now inhabited was a stark contrast to their sun-drenched coastal town. All steel and glass, relentless noise, and hurried crowds. Yet, in the quiet moments, when exhaustion finally claimed him, his mind would drift back to her. He would see her fiery spirit, her sun-kissed hair, the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke of the garden she dreamed of planting. The memory of the old house, weathered and abandoned, became a talisman, a constant reminder of the promise he had made, the future he was determined to build for them. The intense, uncontrollable passion he felt for her, though separated by distance, burned with an unwavering fervor, a fire that fueled his every endeavor. Vivienne, in turn, found solace in the very essence of the promise she had made. Unable to plant the garden of their dream house just yet, she began to surround herself with flowers in every way she could. She volunteered at the local community garden, her hands learning the delicate art of nurturing life from the soil. She spent hours in the town's small flower market, absorbing the knowledge of seasoned vendors, learning the names and needs of every bloom. The scent of jasmine, the vibrant hues of bougainvillea, the cheerful faces of sunflowers, each petal, each fragrance, became a connection to Elliot, a tangible reminder of the future they had envisioned together in that overgrown garden. The palpable tension that had once existed between them, now transformed into a quiet determination, a fierce loyalty to the promises whispered under the Australian sun. Their communication, though frequent, was tinged with the bittersweet ache of separation. Elliot's letters spoke of his work, the challenges he faced, the small victories he achieved. Yet, woven through every line was an undercurrent of longing, a constant affirmation of his love for her, and a repeated vow that he was working tirelessly to fulfill his promise. He spoke of the old house as if it were a living entity, a dream waiting to be realized, a sanctuary he was determined to build for her. Vivienne's letters, in turn, were filled with descriptions of the flowers she encountered, the gardens she tended, the beauty she found in the natural world around her. She spoke of the scent of rain on eucalyptus leaves, the vibrant sunsets over the ocean, the quiet strength she drew from the land they both loved. Each word was a thread, weaving their hearts together across the vast distance that separated them. Yet, as months stretched into a year, and then into 2, the strain of separation began to show. The intensity of their initial passion, though still burning brightly, was tested by the relentless march of time and the practicalities of separate lives. Elliot's career flourished, demanding more of his time and energy. Vivienne, though steadfast in her love, found herself navigating a life that felt incomplete without him. She dated occasionally, seeking companionship, but no one could replicate the profound connection, the intense, uncontrollable passion she had shared with Elliot. Every touch felt hollow, every conversation superficial, a stark reminder of the depth she had known and lost. The palpable tension that had once existed between them, now a phantom limb, an aching presence in her solitary nights. The turning point came unexpectedly. Vivienne, after years of volunteering and learning, found herself with an opportunity to work at a local florist shop. It was a small establishment, filled with the intoxicating scent of blooms and the quiet hum of satisfied customers. She threw herself into the work with a passion that surprised even herself. Arranging bouquets became a form of meditation, a way to channel her longing, her creativity, and the enduring love she carried for Elliot. Each arrangement was a silent tribute to their shared dream, a promise whispered through petals and stems. The intense, uncontrollable passion she felt for him, though dormant in physical proximity, blossomed in her dedication to the flowers, a testament to a love that felt both fragile and eternal. Elliot, meanwhile, reached a significant milestone in his career. He had worked tirelessly, saved diligently, and made strategic decisions that propelled him forward. Yet, with each achievement, the ache in his heart grew stronger. The success felt hollow without Vivienne by his side to celebrate, to share in the joy of his accomplishments. He found himself staring at photographs of the old house, now faded and worn, his resolve to fulfill his promise solidifying with every passing day. He realized that all the ambition, all the success in the world, meant nothing without the woman he loved, without the future they had envisioned together in that overgrown garden. The palpable tension that had once existed between them, now a powerful motivator, a driving force that refused to be silenced. 3 years after his departure, Elliot made a decision that would alter the course of their lives. He was on a business trip, far from both his new city and their coastal town, when he found himself wandering through an unfamiliar neighborhood. He passed a small flower shop, its window overflowing with vibrant blooms. On a whim, he stepped inside, drawn by an inexplicable pull. The air was thick with fragrance, a symphony of scents that transported him back to Vivienne, to the promises they had made. And then, he smelled it, the delicate, intoxicating scent of jasmine. His heart stopped. It was Vivienne's favorite flower, the one she had spoken of with such passion when they stood in the overgrown garden of the old house. The memory flooded back with overwhelming clarity, the sound of her laughter, the sparkle in her eyes, the fierce belief in their eternal love. In that moment, surrounded by flowers in a city far from home, Elliot knew with absolute certainty what he had to do. He had to go back. He had to find Vivienne. He had to fulfill the promise he had made and claim the future that had always belonged to them. The intense, uncontrollable passion he felt for her, though tested by time and distance, burned with a renewed fervor, a fire that could no longer be contained. The palpable tension that had always existed between them, now a powerful magnet, pulling him back to the woman who held his heart, and to the promise that time could never break. The decision, once made, consumed Elliot Whitmore with an urgency that bordered on obsession. The scent of jasmine in that distant flower shop had unlocked something profound within him, a floodgate of memories and emotions that he could no longer contain. He realized, with stunning clarity, that all the years of hard work, all the success he had achieved, had been driven by a singular purpose: to fulfill the promise he had made to Vivienne Ashford in the overgrown garden of that old, abandoned house. The intense, uncontrollable passion he felt for her, though tested by time and distance, had never truly diminished. It had merely been waiting, dormant yet alive, for the right moment to surge forth with renewed vigor. Within weeks, Elliot had made the necessary arrangements. He wrapped up his projects, delegated responsibilities, and booked a flight back to the coastal Australian town that held his heart. The journey felt both interminable and surprisingly swift, his mind oscillating between nervous anticipation and a quiet, resolute certainty. He wondered what Vivienne looked like now, how the years had shaped her, whether she still carried the same fiery spirit that had captivated him so completely. The palpable tension that had always existed between them, even across vast distances, now thrummed through his veins, a powerful current pulling him inexorably towards her. Stepping off the plane and breathing in the familiar salty air of his hometown was a sensory experience that brought a lump to his throat. The landscape had changed in subtle ways. New buildings dotted the skyline, familiar shops had been replaced, yet the essence remained the same. The wide Australian sky, the scent of eucalyptus on the breeze, the distant roar of the ocean. It all felt like coming home. Yet, his home was not a place. It was a person, and he needed to find her. Elliot checked into a modest hotel, his mind already racing through strategies. He didn't have Vivienne's current contact information, their communication having faded to occasional, distant exchanges in the final year of their separation. He knew she had likely moved on, built a life, perhaps even found love elsewhere. The thought was a dagger to his heart, yet he refused to let it deter him. He had a promise to keep, a love to reclaim, and a future to build. The intense, uncontrollable passion he felt for her, though dormant in physical proximity, now burned with a fierce determination. His first instinct was to visit the old house, the sanctuary of their shared dreams. Driving down the familiar roads, his heart pounded with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. As he turned onto the forgotten lane, his breath caught in his throat. The house was still there, weathered and worn, yet somehow more dignified in its decay. The garden, though still overgrown, seemed to hold a quiet promise, as if it, too, was waiting for the fulfillment of vows whispered long ago. Elliot parked his car and walked slowly towards the property, his footsteps echoing in the quiet afternoon. He stood in the very spot where he and Vivienne had made their promises, and a profound sense of purpose washed over him. This was not just a house. It was a symbol, a testament to a love that had refused to be extinguished by time or distance. But first, he needed to find Vivienne. He began his search methodically, visiting places they used to frequent, asking discreet questions at local shops. He learned, with a mix of relief and trepidation, that she was still in town, that she had never left their coastal haven. And then, a breakthrough. Someone mentioned a florist shop on the main street, a place known for its beautiful arrangements and the passion of its owner. Elliot's heart skipped a beat. A florist. Vivienne had become a florist. The promise she had made, to plant the flowers in the garden, had manifested in a different, yet profoundly beautiful way. He found the shop on a sun-drenched afternoon, its window overflowing with vibrant blooms that spilled onto the sidewalk. The sign above the door read, "Ashford Blooms," in elegant script. Elliot stood outside for a long moment, his heart pounding so loudly he was certain passers-by could hear it. The palpable tension that had always existed between them, now a powerful force, seemed to radiate from the very walls of the shop, calling to him, beckoning him inside. Taking a deep breath, Elliot pushed open the door. A small bell chimed, announcing his arrival. The interior was a symphony of color and fragrance, a haven of natural beauty that immediately transported him back to their shared dreams. And then, he saw her. Vivienne. She was behind the counter, her hands delicately arranging a bouquet of white roses and jasmine. Time had touched her gently, adding a grace and maturity to her features that only enhanced her beauty. Her hair, still sun-kissed though now streaked with subtle hints of lighter tones, was pulled back in a loose bun. She wore a simple apron over a flowing dress, her movements fluid and practiced. She hadn't noticed him yet, lost in the meditative process of her work. Elliot stood frozen, drinking in the sight of her. The years melted away, replaced by the vivid memory of the girl he had fallen in love with, the woman who had promised to plant a garden. The intense, uncontrollable passion he felt for her, though dormant for so long, now surged forth with a force that took his breath away. He felt as if he were standing on the precipice of a new beginning, a second chance that fate had graciously granted. Vivienne, sensing a presence, looked up. Her eyes, still the same vibrant shade that had captivated him, met his. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Recognition flickered across her face, followed by a cascade of emotions: shock, disbelief, joy, and something deeper, something that spoke of years of longing and unspoken love. The bouquet she was holding slipped from her hands, falling to the counter in a gentle cascade of petals. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. The palpable tension that had always existed between them, now a tangible force, filled the space between them, charged with years of separation and the undeniable pull of a love that had refused to fade. "Elliot," she finally whispered, her voice barely audible, trembling with emotion. It was not a question, but a statement, an affirmation of his presence, a recognition of the man who had held her heart for so long. "Vivienne," he replied, his own voice thick with unshed tears. He took a tentative step forward, then another, closing the distance between them. The years, the distance, the uncertainties, all of it dissolved in that moment. He stood before her, his eyes searching hers, finding in their depths the same fierce love, the same unwavering connection that had defined their youth. "I came back," he said simply, his voice resonating with a quiet intensity. "I came back to keep my promise." Tears welled in Vivienne's eyes, spilling down her cheeks in silent streams. She reached out, her hand trembling, and touched his face, as if to confirm he was real, that this was not a dream conjured by years of longing. The touch, simple yet profound, sent a jolt of electricity through both of them, a reawakening of the intense, uncontrollable passion that had always defined their connection. The palpable tension that had hummed between them for so long finally found release in that touch, a silent affirmation of a love that time could never break. The reunion in Ashford blooms was a moment suspended in time, a convergence of past and present that felt both surreal and utterly inevitable. Vivienne Ashford and Elliot Whitmore stood in the fragrant sanctuary of her shop, their hands touching, their eyes locked in a gaze that spoke volumes beyond words. The palpable tension that had hummed between them for years, across vast distances and through countless silent nights, now manifested as a tangible warmth, a magnetic pull that neither could resist. Customers came and went, the bell above the door chiming intermittently, yet they remained oblivious to the world around them, lost in the profound emotion of their reconnection. Elliot, his voice still thick with the weight of unshed tears and overwhelming joy, finally found the courage to speak beyond the simple affirmation of his return. He told Vivienne, in a voice barely above a whisper yet resonating with quiet intensity, that he had never stopped thinking about her, that every achievement, every milestone in his life had been driven by the promise he made in the overgrown garden of the old house. He spoke of the relentless years of work, the sacrifices made, the unwavering focus on a singular goal, to build a future worthy of the love they had shared, to fulfill the vow that had become the anchor of his existence. Vivienne listened, her heart swelling with an emotion so powerful it threatened to overwhelm her. She saw in his eyes the same restless energy, the same captivating intensity that had drawn her to him in their youth, now tempered by maturity and a quiet strength forged through years of dedication. She reached out, her fingers gently tracing the lines on his face, lines that spoke of experience and determination, yet did nothing to diminish the raw, visceral pull she felt towards him. The intense, uncontrollable passion that had defined their youth, though dormant for so long, now flared with a breathtaking urgency, a testament to a love that time could never truly extinguish. They talked for hours, standing amidst the flowers of her shop, oblivious to the passage of time. Vivienne shared her journey, how the promise she had made to plant a garden had evolved into a life's passion, how each arrangement she created was a silent tribute to the future they had envisioned together. She spoke of the quiet strength she had drawn from the flowers, how their beauty and resilience had sustained her through years of longing and uncertainty. Elliot, in turn, listened with rapt attention, marveling at the woman she had become, her fierce independence now intertwined with a tenderness that took his breath away. The palpable tension between them, once a source of youthful exhilaration, now vibrated with a mature understanding, a deep, unspoken recognition of the journey they had both undertaken. As the afternoon light began to soften, casting long shadows across the shop floor, Elliot took Vivienne's hand with a gentle yet firm grip. There was a quiet determination in his gaze, a promise of something profound about to be revealed. He asked her, in a voice filled with both nervousness and quiet confidence, if she would come with him. He wanted to show her something that had been the driving force behind his every decision for the past 3 years. Vivienne, her heart pounding with a mixture of curiosity and anticipation, closed the shop early, a rare occurrence that spoke volumes of the significance of this moment. She trusted him implicitly, just as she always had, and the palpable tension between them now hummed with the promise of a revelation that would change everything. They drove in comfortable silence, Elliot's hand occasionally reaching out to gently squeeze hers, a silent reassurance of his presence and the profound connection they shared. Vivienne watched the familiar landscape unfold outside the window, her mind racing with possibilities, her heart filled with a hope she hadn't dared to feel for so long. When Elliot turned onto the forgotten lane, the lane that led to the old house, Vivienne's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes widened with a mixture of shock and disbelief as the property came into view. The house was no longer a weathered, abandoned shell. It had been transformed. The exterior had been lovingly restored, its walls repainted in a soft, inviting cream, its roof replaced with new tiles that gleamed in the late afternoon sun. The windows, once broken and boarded, now sparkled with clean glass, reflecting the vibrant Australian sky. But it was the garden that truly took Vivienne's breath away. The overgrown wilderness had been replaced by a meticulously landscaped haven of beauty. And there, in carefully tended beds, were her flowers. The delicate jasmine climbing trellises near the entrance, the bold bougainvillea cascading over a newly built stone wall, the cheerful sunflowers standing tall and proud, their faces turned towards the setting sun. It was the garden of her dreams, the promise she had made, brought to life with breathtaking beauty and care. Vivienne's hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face in an uncontrollable torrent. She turned to Elliot, her eyes filled with a mixture of overwhelming joy, disbelief, and a love so profound it shook her to her very core. Elliot, his own eyes glistening with unshed tears, simply smiled, a tender, knowing expression that spoke of years of dedication and unwavering love. He had kept his promise. He had bought the house, restored it to its former glory, and he had planted her garden, every flower chosen with meticulous care, a testament to the vow they had made in their youth. They stepped out of the car, Vivienne's legs trembling slightly as she walked towards the garden. She reached out, her fingers gently touching the petals of a jasmine bloom, the delicate scent transporting her back to that pivotal moment years ago when they had stood in this very spot, young and fearless, making promises that had seemed both impossible and utterly inevitable. Elliot stood beside her, his hand gently resting on her lower back, a comforting presence that grounded her in the overwhelming reality of the moment. The palpable tension between them, now a powerful force of shared emotion and profound connection, filled the air with an almost tangible warmth. Elliot led Vivienne through the garden, pointing out each carefully chosen plant, each thoughtfully designed space. He spoke of the research he had done, the consultations with local horticulturists, the countless hours spent ensuring that every detail was perfect, that the garden would be exactly as she had envisioned it. Vivienne listened, her heart overflowing with a gratitude and love that words could never adequately express. She saw in every bloom, every carefully placed stone, a tangible manifestation of his love, a testament to the promise he had kept against all odds. Finally, Elliot took her hand and led her to the front door. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a set of keys, their metal surface gleaming in the soft light. He placed them gently in Vivienne's hand, his fingers lingering on hers, a touch that sent shivers down her spine. This was it. This was the fulfillment of the promise, the dream made real, the future they had envisioned together now tangible and within reach. The intense, uncontrollable passion that had defined their youth, now tempered by wisdom but burning brighter than ever, was undeniable in that moment. Vivienne unlocked the door, her hands trembling slightly, and stepped inside. The interior was just as breathtaking as the exterior. The house had been lovingly restored, its original charm preserved while modern comforts had been seamlessly integrated. The floors gleamed, the walls were painted in warm, inviting tones, and the furniture, though new, seemed to echo the timeless elegance of the home's history. Sunlight streamed through the sparkling windows, illuminating a space that felt both welcoming and profoundly personal. It was a sanctuary, a haven, a home built on the foundation of a promise kept, and a love that had refused to be extinguished by time or distance. Vivienne turned to Elliot, tears streaming down her face, her heart so full, it felt as if it might burst. She saw in his eyes a reflection of her own overwhelming emotion, a shared understanding of the profound significance of this moment. Without words, she stepped into his arms, burying her face in his chest, her body shaking with sobs of joy and relief. Elliot held her tightly, his own tears falling silently as he stroked her hair, whispering soothing words of love and devotion. The palpable tension that had always existed between them now transformed into a deep, comforting intimacy, a recognition that they had finally come home, not just to a house, but to each other, fulfilling a promise that time itself could never break. The days following the revelation of the restored house unfolded like a beautiful dream for Vivienne Ashford and Elliot Whitmore, a dream they had both carried in their hearts for far too long. The transition from separation to togetherness was seamless, as if the years apart had been merely a pause, a necessary journey that had ultimately led them back to where they had always belonged, in each other's arms, in the sanctuary of the home they had envisioned together. The palpable tension that had hummed between them for so long now transformed into a deep, comforting intimacy, a recognition that they had finally claimed the future that had always been theirs. Vivienne moved into the restored house with a joy that radiated from her very being. Each room felt like a love letter, meticulously crafted by Elliot with her in mind. The spacious kitchen, filled with natural light and overlooking the garden, became her haven, a place where she could prepare meals while watching the flowers sway in the gentle Australian breeze. The cozy living room, with its comfortable furniture and large windows, was perfect for quiet evenings spent reading or simply sitting in comfortable silence, their bodies close, their souls intertwined. The master bedroom, with its soft linens and the scent of jasmine drifting in from the garden below, became a sanctuary of intimacy, a space where their intense, uncontrollable passion could finally be fully expressed without restraint or distance. Their physical connection, rekindled after years of longing, was a revelation. It was not the frantic, urgent passion of their youth, though that fire still burned brightly beneath the surface. It was deeper, more profound, a symphony of tenderness, respect, and an undeniable, potent yearning that felt both familiar and utterly breathtaking. Vivienne found herself marveling at the way Elliot's touch could still ignite a fire within her, the way his gaze could make her heart race with an exhilarating fervor. The years had only deepened their connection, adding layers of understanding and appreciation that made every moment together feel precious and sacred. The palpable tension that had once hinted at youthful desire now vibrated with a mature understanding, a deep, unspoken longing that was finally, blissfully, fulfilled. Elliot, too, felt a completeness he had never known. Waking up each morning with Vivienne beside him, the scent of jasmine from the garden mingling with her own unique fragrance, filled him with a profound sense of peace and gratitude. He watched her tend to the garden with the same passionate dedication she had spoken of years ago, her hands moving with practiced grace as she nurtured each plant, each bloom. He saw in her movements a reflection of the promise she had made, now beautifully realized in the vibrant haven they had created together. The intense, uncontrollable passion he felt for her, though now intertwined with the comfortable rhythms of daily life, burned with an unwavering fervor, a testament to a love that had truly stood the test of time. The garden became the heart of their home, a living testament to their enduring love and the promises they had kept. Vivienne spent countless hours there, her knowledge and passion transforming it into a masterpiece of natural beauty. The jasmine climbed higher each season, its delicate scent perfuming the air with an intoxicating sweetness. The bougainvillea cascaded in vibrant waves of pink and purple, a bold declaration of life and color. The sunflowers stood tall and proud, their cheerful faces following the arc of the sun, a symbol of unwavering optimism and joy. Elliot often joined her, his hands learning the delicate art of gardening under her patient tutelage. They worked side by side, their movements synchronized, their shared purpose a powerful affirmation of their bond. The palpable tension between them, now a comforting closeness, filled every shared moment with a deep, unspoken intimacy. Their families, initially surprised by the sudden reunion and the depth of Elliot's commitment, slowly began to witness the profound happiness that radiated from both Vivienne and Elliot. Vivienne's parents, who had watched their daughter navigate years of quiet longing, saw a light return to her eyes, a joy that was undeniable. Elliot's siblings, who had observed his relentless drive and occasional melancholy from afar, now saw a man truly at peace, his restless energy finally channeled into the loving restoration of a home and a relationship. What began as cautious observation evolved into genuine acceptance, and then into a quiet celebration of this beautiful second chance, a love story that had defied the odds and proven that true love always finds a way. The coastal town itself seemed to embrace their reunion. Vivienne continued to operate Ashford Blooms, her passion for flowers now intertwined with the tangible fulfillment of her lifelong dream. Customers noticed a new radiance about her, a contentment that infused every arrangement she created. Elliot, having stepped back from the relentless demands of his previous career, found purpose in supporting Vivienne's business and in contributing to the local community. He offered his expertise to young entrepreneurs, mentored aspiring professionals, and found immense satisfaction in giving back to the place that held his heart. Together, they became a fixture in the town, a testament to enduring love and the power of kept promises. As the seasons turned, their love continued to deepen. They celebrated each milestone together. The first anniversary of their reunion, marked by a quiet dinner in their garden under a canopy of stars, the blooming of the first jasmine flowers each spring, a ritual that brought tears of joy to Vivienne's eyes, the completion of small improvements to the house, each addition a collaborative effort that strengthened their bond. They traveled together, exploring the vast Australian landscape, yet always eager to return to their sanctuary, to the garden where their promises had taken root and blossomed into a beautiful reality. The intense, uncontrollable passion that had defined their youth, now tempered by wisdom but burning brighter than ever, was undeniable in every shared glance, every tender touch, every quiet moment of contentment. One evening, as they sat on the porch swing of their restored home, the setting sun painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Elliot turned to Vivienne, his kind eyes filled with a profound tenderness. He spoke of the journey they had undertaken, the years of separation, the unwavering belief in their love, and the profound joy of finally being together. He spoke of how Vivienne had filled a void he hadn't even realized existed, not just with companionship, but with a love so intense, so overwhelming, that it had reshaped his entire world. He reached for her hand, his thumb gently stroking her knuckles, a gesture that had become their silent language of devotion. Vivienne's heart swelled with an emotion so powerful it brought tears to her eyes. She leaned her head on his shoulder, feeling the steady beat of his heart against hers, a rhythm that now felt perfectly aligned with her own. She spoke of the garden, of how each flower was a living reminder of the promise they had made, of how Elliot had not only kept his vow, but had exceeded her wildest dreams. She spoke of the profound gratitude she felt, not just for the restored house or the beautiful garden, but for the unwavering love he had shown, the dedication that had brought them back together against all odds. In that moment, as the last rays of sunlight faded from the Australian sky, and the first stars began to appear, surrounded by the scent of jasmine and the gentle hum of evening cicadas, Vivienne and Elliot knew with a certainty that resonated deep within their souls. This was their forever. This was the fulfillment of promises whispered in youth, tested by time and ultimately proven unbreakable. Their love story was a testament to the enduring power of the human heart, a beautiful affirmation that true love, no matter how many obstacles it faces, will always find a way. The intense, uncontrollable passion that had first entwined their hearts had not only survived, but had flourished, transformed into a deep, abiding love that would bloom forever in the garden of their shared dreams. Time had changed many things, their faces, their experiences, the world around them. But it could never break the promise etched upon their hearts, a promise that had finally, beautifully, come to fruition. Vivienne Ashford and Elliot Whitmore's story is a powerful testament to the sacred nature of promises made in love. Their intense, uncontrollable passion, first kindled in the garden of a forgotten house, weathered years of separation, and emerged stronger, more profound, and beautifully fulfilled. Their journey, from youthful vows to the breathtaking reunion and the restoration of their shared dream, reminds us that some promises are simply unbreakable, etched not just in words, but in the very fabric of the soul. It proves that true love, when rooted in genuine devotion and unwavering commitment, will always find a way back home. If Vivienne and Elliot's journey touched your heart, if it made you believe even more in the power of kept promises and the beauty of a love that refuses to be extinguished, please leave a like and share this video with someone who needs this message of hope and dedication. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe that promises made in true love, no matter how much time passes or how many obstacles arise, will always find their fulfillment? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more stories that remind us of the timeless beauty and enduring strength of the human heart. Thank you for being with us on this emotional journey.